Are we live? Always a good question. We should be live. My name's Steve. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. For those watching in the future, you can get involved too. Doing some mock drafting of your own. Let me double check. Make sure we're live. There we go. All right. So, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday night. Friday night. Probably Saturday night, but for sure earlier on. Well, not as late Saturday. I'm going to either go once for a long time, starting morning-ish hours on Saturday before noon Eastern Standard Time, and go for a while. If it's not that busy, then I'll come back again later on in the afternoon on Saturday. Same thing Sunday. Monday's a holiday. If there's more success over the weekend, maybe I'll go Monday. So I'll be around. There's news that has happened over the last day. Rosters have continued to change. Some things, very few, but still a few things are fantasy, possibly at least fantasy relevant. Tough to say, but usually there are a few roster moves made, this time of the year that have impacts on teams and sometimes on fantasy teams. So I think we'll get to that. Did I drop it? Did I drop the link in the description yet? I have a link for you to get in on the sleeper mock draft. Also, up on the website, www.theffforge.com. You can find all of my rankings up top. You can click on the rankings tab up at the top there. I'm not sure if you can quite see that on the screen, but I know you can see these. And these are the rankings. They're getting updated as news comes out and continuously get updated. I hope they're pretty settled in at this point. I updated the cheat sheet here like 4 times this morning as little bits of news came out and as I thought more of them. So this is very much up to date with the most recent ADPs and also news that we'll be going over in just a second here. So this cheat sheet, once again, you just click on the website on that printable draft sheet tab there, and this pops up, and it's there for you to print off, use on your drafts. I used it on mine. I liked it, thought it worked nicely, and it's been ever evolving since. So that just leaves us with some, let's go here, news and notes from the day. Dallas running back Dalvin Cook. That's right. He has signed with Dallas on the practice squad. I think kind of to be expected. Doesn't take up a 53-man spot. They can figure things out further, but I don't think Dalvin Cook would be signing if he's just any regular old practice squad player. So Rico Dowdle's stock is down, and this is why I never was too high, never too crazy, never really targeted Rico Dowdle. I didn't really trust him and what the team thought of him, given the fact that they brought Zeke back, and from day one it was pretty much seemed to be that Zeke is the RB1 there. So maybe I'm wrong on that. We'll see for sure. But now that they went out and got Dalvin Cook as well, I just don't think that the team has a whole lot of faith in Rico Dowdle. I ended up ranking Dalvin Cook 59th in my rankings, and I do see a path to him being a starter in Dallas. So I just don't want to write this off as nothing, but definitely, not impacting Zeke negatively. Zeke was the better, more recently, the better back, both of those. So I'm not too afraid for Zeke necessarily. But there's a path there, especially with some injury, maybe even just one injury to Zeke for Dalvin Cook to get, Dallas's backfield to largely himself, which would be worth something in fantasy football. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson is named the starter for Week 1. I think Fields did get a little bit of an opportunity there with Russell Wilson, an injury to him, but he did not win that role, and I think he would have had to really outright win it, because it always made sense to me, and I believe to the team, that it's a lot easier to go from a struggling Russell Wilson to the guy who you're hoping could potentially be your future, and you're also hoping learn something from Russell Wilson along the way in Justin Fields. Then going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. Gosh darn it, some flying creature got in here. It's going to be annoying. So yeah, it makes sense to me. Russell Wilson's the sacrificial lamb here for Fields to come in at some point in the season. Kansas City running back, they signed Samaje Perine. This is the Jerick McKinnon role. That's very clear. So I think CH values goes down just a touch because in case of an injury, if CH would have gotten kind of a lot of that backfield, would have been worth something there. But Samaje, I wouldn't be surprised if he became a target at some point this season after having like a big game or two. But as far as drafting and week 1 and everything, I wouldn't be too concerned about getting him on my roster unless you're in a very deep league. Pittsburgh, more news, not good news for them. Starting offensive guard Isaac Suomalo, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, suffered a pectoral injury. I have not seen any kind of update on that. That happened quite earlier on in the day, but no update yet. If this is serious, or even just a few weeks, no matter what, if you're drafting players based on vibes surrounding teams, this Pittsburgh team's vibes are not great, I don't think, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of injuries on the offensive line, an area where they really focused on in the draft and getting stronger, and now earlier than expected, they might have to rely on several of those draft picks, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. It could impact the running game with quarterbacks that are already risky in terms of, they like to get sacked. They don't make life easy on the offensive line. They hold on to the ball for a long time. All of that and above, it ripple effects throughout the entirety of the team there if that offensive line isn't good. And it looks like it's going to be something that's going to have to hopefully improve throughout the year through both players getting healthy and returning, and then once that happens, them gelling together. Detroit picked up wide receiver Tim Patrick. Looked decent in the offseason. A lot of injuries, but there's a spot here if Tim Patrick can break through, become one of the top 3 receiving options on this offense, or wide receivers. Could become fantasy relevant, deep league kind of sleeper type of deal there. Not too excited about that, but keep it on the radar. Buffalo wide receiver Keon Coleman may have to earn his play time yet. He's down on the depth chart a little bit. I'm not too concerned about this, but if you are drafting him, this is a reminder that you might have to be patient with Keon Coleman. As with any of these rookies, you should be prepared to be patient with them. Some of them might come out firing, some of them will not. So, especially Keon Coleman, it just looks like don't be drafting him if you're going 0 wide receiver or something crazy like that. San Francisco head coach Kyle Shanahan is preparing to play week 1 without Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams. Trent Williams definitely hurts everybody on this team. I think Ayuk does too. I really think they're both pretty important pieces to this offense. Probably Trent Williams a little bit more important. But, we'll see. I don't know. There was news early today. Ayuk should be practicing. Then he wasn't practicing. I don't think he was even at camp. So I don't know if this turned into a holdout. We'll find out more news. But right now, the head coach is preparing to be without Ayuk. So that's obviously noteworthy. Can you join my Dynasty League? Why do some people treat Keeper Leagues like it's Dynasty? What's going on, the roll? I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. Probably email me. I don't know if there's money concerns and stuff like that. The role. If that were the case, I'd need to know, what the team looks like and everything. Master Franklin, Richardson, St. Brown, MHJ. Hold up. I'm just ignore the AF there. I was just getting the little emoji thing out of my way. Harrison Jr. Okay. Rate that lineup. I hate doing rating, Master Franklin. All right. So you got Richardson at quarterback, St. Brown, Harrison Jr., Bijan. There's no way this is redraft, right? Kyron. There was news today. Did I skip over that news today? Kyron Williams. I did skip over that news. There are some concerns about Kyron Williams. He's going to be doing punt returning, which usually you don't use like your star players for. And some news came out about maybe this came out yesterday about Blake Corum getting more work there as well. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know about more work. I mean, Blake Corum was always going to get some work. Kyron was never going to have quite the same workload as last year, but there's a chance that he would have close to it. And now I don't know. Njoku, A-Chan. I mean, that's a. It's if that's redraft, that's an A plus. Assuming it's not redraft, I mean it's still like an A, right? That's this really strong lineup. I think the only thing I would be looking towards is having some sort of sleeper at tight end, like getting Noah Fant on at the end of the roster, or Zach. Why can't I think of his name? Tight end in Washington, Zach Ertz. Like having one of those two or somebody else that you believe in that's available. I don't know about Njoku. I don't know about that offense in terms of passing, how that's going to work out. I know people who like Njoku like him, and I don't. I like him a lot as a person. I think he's probably seems to be a pretty good person, and I root for him. But I just don't know that he's going to be anything special in fantasy this year again. Fresh startup 10. Well, if it's a startup, is there? When's your drafts and everything? You gotta email me the role. Robbie D, what's up, man? So if you guys want to get in, I did include once again here link to get in on this mock draft here. Yeah, appreciate you stopping in, Master Franklin. Hopefully you see you around. I do. If you're not familiar, I will be doing a lot of start-sit stuff, and of course I release rankings each week too, rankings videos, and my rankings are always up on the website, which you can find in the description of like every video. So hopefully see you around some more, and good luck with that. It's a pretty darn strong starting roster there. These are Dynasty, 2 quarterback, IDP. Oh gosh, I don't know anything about IDP. I don't know if I want to get into that. I don't have time to look into IDP. I don't know. Rocky Dino, what up, what up? If you want to get involved, links Ben said in chat. Send it again. To do a mock draft here. And anybody wants some certain settings, let me know. Right now I have it set as half PPR, 12 team. We can always, of course, full PPR, whatever, 10 team here. 2 minute. One quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, flex, kicker DST, 7 bench spots. So, Rocky, you hopped in here. Haven't seen you around. Is there anything that you need to practice specifically for your drafts coming up? In terms of settings there, let me know. And I can update those. And we'll get going with our first draft of the night. And then hopefully we'll do a second one. And then probably call it a night unless things are booming. Getting closer and closer to draft time. So far for the poll, we got a split decision between Dalvin Cook and Tim Patrick for having the biggest impacts. Samaje Perine at the back end of that. I do think the only reason I thought, I didn't vote, but the only reason I could make up an argument for Samaje was thinking of him just kind of like Jerick McKinnon, just becoming like a real big role late in the season when it really matters, playoff time, something like that, where it's like the individual times that he actually helps the team. It's just such important games. All right, Rocky, I'm going to assume that you're good with these settings, or Crap Cats, if you want to speak up, if you want some different settings. So far, we got 12 team, half PPR. You don't get to choose how long. Keep it to 2 minutes, so nobody takes too long. But 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex there. Bench, nice bench there. So let me know if you want to change up those settings before we get us started. Nice to see people coming through here. Rocky, I got offered Neighbors for DJ Moore. Just straight up. I would stick with DJ Moore. Talking like uh uh dynasty. Um Man, it's really close because you got to think like the better quarterback, the quicker quarterback coming seems to be in Chicago. DJ Moore is still, I think he's 26 right now, right? Maybe he'll be like 27 this playing season or something. So I mean, it's definitely older than Neighbors, but there's more surety. Is Neighbors ever gonna have that quarterback? You never know for sure. What the heck happened? How are all these flying creatures getting in today? Uh, Currently, and in the short to mid term, I'd say DJ Moore is more valuable. Throughout the life of them, you're truly looking long term. Neighbors, barely. Interesting that the previous 3 of 4 winning entries in the 1 million draft came from position 6. I could see that. I tend to think this year that's, about the best area to be drafting in, but that is very interesting that 3 of 4 all came from position 6. You would think randomly, the odds are not with that happening. Who's going to be the quarterback in New York next year? And it's more than just talent. And Neighbors hasn't done a darn thing. We know DJ Moore is the proven talent. Obviously, you're banking on stuff with Neighbors. So short term, he's not going to be the quarterback. They were already looking to replace him this year. I mean, he's going to have to play well. All right. I guess if we're going to do, we'll just all human it right around the turns here. Anybody else want to get involved? I'll give you about 5 seconds here. Otherwise, we're going to start this draft, and then we will do another draft. This doesn't take too long. 2-minute picking time, 16 rounds. It flies by quick enough. We'll get another one in. I just feel like Chicago's about 2 miles ahead at least in terms of team building compared to New York. And talent-wise, DJ Moore is one of the better ones. But Neighbors definitely has the potential to be, like, in 4 years, the best in the league as possible. Whereas obviously doesn't seem like that's going to quite happen for DJ Moore. So I will say that. All right, I think it's been over 5 seconds. We're going to start the draft. Rocky, get your engine started. You are first pick, and you're on the clock. Of the 2020, you were ready. 5, 4. There we go. What the heck's happening? I haven't had flying critters in here forever, and then I think there's 2 different ones. All right, McCaffrey, Hill to start it off. How unique. CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Chase Hall. Oh, almost had it. Amon-Ra, JT. Pushing AJ Brown back a spot there. Puts me on the board with Jameer, Saquon, Garrett Wilson. So, I don't like this spot. I'm going to end up with 2 of Jameer, Saquon, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison. Most likely. So I'm going to try and... I feel like I know I'm not getting a wide receiver if I don't take Garrett Wilson. Alright. I'm going to have to take Marvin Harrison for sure. Drake London. Jahmyr Gibbs leaving Saquon Barkley. There, that worked out because I have Saquon quite high for my running backs. Would you have taken Garrett Wilson the role? It's true, Michael. He does not. But if you can't score touchdowns, that's going to hurt too. Okay, cool. So either way, it would have worked out. I would have gotten Barkley and Wilson around there. Never mind. I didn't mind that spot so much then. So around the turn, Crabcats with Achane and Hill, the Miami duo. And then Nico, McCaffrey. Mike Evans. Yeah, I like that choice. Yeah, Gibbs and Wilson are basically a horse apiece for me. The current hamstring injury for Gibbs just gives me a little bit of a scare enough. I feel a little bit more safe with Wilson. Let's see how that works out season long. Crabcats ignoring any concerns around Brandon Ayuk, still grabbing him around the third turn there. Waddle. DJ Moore. What's my most recent rankings looking like between all these guys? I think I have moved Waddle up enough ahead of DJ Moore. We'll do it again. Take Waddle. Robbie D hates Kelsey. Like the person? The player, the draft spot? What do you hate about Kelsey? Alright. Worked out. I will take James Cook around there. Start off with an even keeled approach here. Wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back. The roll. Slaying out to wide receiver position. Didn't he? How did it work? He helped out until he didn't. Was it the championship game that he like absolutely sucked or something like that? How did that work out? Yeah, man, I feel the same about Olave every time because I got him high my rankings too. And it's just like I know he's not supposed to go here. But once these guys kind of are off of the board there, it's Olave time for me. I was going to take Harrison here if you went like Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs Gibbs Barkley. I would have taken Harrison here just so that way it's a little bit more realistic for these guys. Although I guess he would have gotten taken anyways before then. Trey McBride, tight ends going around the turn. So 4 tight ends. Kyle Pitts, Rocky going for it. Are you an Atlanta fan, Rocky, or you haven't been spurred by Kyle Pitts in recent years? And Anthony Richardson there around the turn. Kincaid goes, Andrews goes. Tight ends flying off for the top 6 teams there. All have theirs. Yeah, I got Olave over them too. Jacobs though, he's gonna have a nice starting role this season. So I think this is a Keenan Allen spot, I suppose, for me. Just disappointed because my boy, Rashee Rice, was rocking. I think he's just getting a little old, a little bit. And last year he was banged up on top of that. And I think that's going to kind of repeat itself this year again to maybe even a little bit more of an extreme. I have him as my tight end 3, but very much like, I think he could finish as like the tight end 5-6 this year. And so I will match this up with Zamir White. He tends, in my experience so far in my drafts, he has not been making it back around to where like he's supposed to. He went earlier than this in both of my drafts, actually, Zamir White. I don't know exactly why that was, but that was a case in my experience so far. So if you're a big Zamir White fan, do plan on, I guess if you guys are drafting up here, like this might be where you have to attack for it if you really, really want him. If you're okay with, missing out on him, then you just don't go for it. But it is what it is. Bruh, I killed this draft. I killed it. Nah. I know I was not a big proponent of drafting Kelsey, like number 1 overall. I knew that was going to come back to bite somebody, or first round, like he had been going for the past few years. It's like not worth getting a tight end that early. I mean, he ended up kind of having that value for a short time period there, but still didn't quite feel it was worth it that early in a draft. So we got Zach Moss, Kyle. Okay, now I'm just totally. I had the right name in my head, but for some reason it wasn't sounding right, so I didn't want to say it all loud. Kyler Murray, Javonte Williams, nice. I got Kyler Murray in the 9th round of one of my. Actually, he was available in the 9th round of both my drafts. A lot of the same people in both of them. But the second time around, I just. I decided to go with Jaden Daniels over him. We will go Rashee Rice here, and we'll see. Bob, welcome back. Nice to see you again, man. It's my best guess as to where Ayuk will go. Let's see. Currently, based on the news, if things don't change before the weekend, I drafted Terry in my home league, but I'm kind of concerned now. Terry McLaurin? Or Ayuk? Huh? I think Ayuk will be falling to. I think in a lot of drafts, like I could see people saying, I'll take T. Higgins over Ayuk. I don't think people will take Amari Cooper or Rashee Rice, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. Like somebody, depending on the league, some people might take Calvin Ridley over Ayuk, just depending on how much they like them. So I'm looking at my rankings, not the ADPs. But mid-20s, I think, would be... I think will probably be about how far he'll fall. And in some leagues, some things just happen to line up. Some people in your league, somebody loves Terry McLaurin. Maybe they take him over. Like, you might see him fall closer to 30. But I think once you get to about 30, you're going to start getting into the area where people are going to say, I'll take it. Like some people, George Pickens, people. So, yeah, mid-20s to, at the very latest, early 30s, like 33-ish would be the latest I could see him falling, realistically. Oh. I don't think San Francisco plans on trading him for anything. I just don't think the situation lines up. I don't think there's a team that he wants to go to that's, a good enough team that's willing to give him the money that he wants and give up the capital that it takes to get him from San Francisco. Just as it hasn't lined up yet, I just don't see those things lining up. Best case scenario, or the case scenario where it does happen is a team that's in the hunt that, Cincinnati, Jamar Chase goes out there week 1 and gets injured. I don't know if they have the capital to do it, but a team who has a stud at wide receiver. These teams that are hunting wide receiver, Miami, Philadelphia, these teams that are hunting for the Super Bowl, if their stud goes down, do they decide to just go for it and add Ayuk to their roster? Maybe then. Even then, though, that's tough for those teams, and they have their money lined. A lot of them already have 2 guys, and they have their money pretty much spoken for. The New York Jets, I haven't heard their name at all. I don't know if they're interested, but I think that could make a lot of sense. Jaden Daniels goes just before me. I should have just gone wide receiver, quarterback, tight end there. Okay, so I will go. I'll go Brian Thomas. I don't recall. Who do I have? JSN or Brian Thomas ranked higher? I always think I'm a little bit lower on JSN than I actually am in my rankings just because I really never target him. But I overlook him a little bit. The role, you don't need 3 quarterbacks, man. And if you think you're getting one over on me because I'm going to trade for one, you're crazy, because I ain't. I'll go Tua. Hopefully, Crabcats, you weren't planning on Tua there for your Tyreek Hill Miami grouping. So let's see. Last turnaround, you guys went Njoku, Jonathan Brooks, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson. Yeah, makes sense. Ooh, the Carolina hookup with Brooks and Deontay. What do you think, Bob? Who do you think? You concerned about Terry because Washington? Obviously, then. Because they were getting talked about, what, yesterday, 2 days ago? Being interested. I just don't think they're willing to spend enough, too. Being able to start any quarterbacks? You can only start one. Oh, I'm confused. It's just, they're all scoring around the same thing every week. All 3 of those guys. Well, I mean, this season... Well, shoot. Yeah, they still probably are. Which isn't anything insane. Missed out on my Chase Brown there, huh? So we got kicker, DST, 1, 2, 3 picks left from primary positions. Lawrence, somebody who I was kind of banking on possibly making it back around. Didn't quite make it there. Corum, Hawkinson, that double tight ending it there. So you're going to be able to put Brooks and Hawkinson both in IR spots. Rocky. Which isn't a bad strategy. Somebody dropped Hawkinson in one of my leagues after drafting him. And we have 3 IR spots. I don't get why people don't use their IR spots. Go Kirk. Ooh, kickers. What's up with the kicker around here? Interesting. Jalen Polk, Ty Chandler. I'd just say if you want one good quarterback to start, just draft one of these guys. You'll never sit them. Crabcat's thinking about it. What's he thinking about? Josh Palmer, are you looking for... Okay. Just say it's about that time that DSTs start going. And there they go. I still need... So, 2 wide receiver league, I think I can get away with those wide receivers. But running back, a little thin probably. Yeah, I'm back on board with Marshawn Lloyd now that what's his face is out of the picture. Oh, almost got a flying thing. I was gonna ask a question. What do you guys think about Jahan Dotson in Philadelphia? You think that'll work out? I was never a fan of Jahan Dotson, so it only confirmed, you know, my pre-draft takes on Jahan Dotson, the fact, and my post-draft takes that he is taken too high by Washington. Not like I thought he was, you know, so bad that he's should have been taken in the 7th round of a draft and is worthless though. In Philadelphia, I don't know. I'm curious how that's gonna end up working out. Like it could be really good, but then again, I don't really believe in him. Here we need a defense, a kicker, and something else. So kickers were starting to get taken. I'll take Moody off the board there. I actually really like, especially if you wait on kicker, I think Daniel Carlson's a really good kicker to take this year. I feel like, you know, I think that offense is going to be able to move the ball enough. I just, you know, I don't know about touchdowns. I think they'll struggle once they get close. So I think that Las Vegas is one of those teams that'll be kicking a lot of field goals, and I think they have a good enough defense that'll keep them in games that'll also allow them to kick more field goals. He's one of my sleepers for the kicker position. Ooh, yes. Jordan Mason. Nice pickup. Based on recent goings-ons, he's been thrust into a nice position. I feel like the San Francisco crowd was being a little bit quiet on him, too, until the dam broke. And then everybody was like, yeah, he was kind of our guy anyways. And I will shoot. Did I wait too long? Did. Ray Davis. I wanted Ray Davis to back up Cook there. Well, you know who I can take. Do I want to, though? It's Will Shipley. I think I'll just take my shot on Braylon Allen. Captain joking, I will be right there. Alright, that's what I had to check. I have Kansas City or Las Vegas higher. Oh wait, Cleveland's still available? Crud. All right. I'll take Cleveland DST. I think it's a complete waste of a roster spot having one extra quarterback. Is what I don't like it. I've never seen. I don't think anybody do it. I don't know in any of my leagues. I got a lot of. I got people who do 3 tight end too. So I guess I have seen it. Captain Joking, huge fan of the show. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Already a sub. Quick question. Is there a world in which Saquon finished? I think so. I mean, come on, basically a CMC situation with a monstrous O-line. So the only thing I would say in comparing him to CMC is CMC's probably a little bit better of a talent, but they're both very good. So I can understand that. But it's going to be the quarterback situation. Do you have a quarterback who's going to run the ball, steal touchdowns away from him when they get near the goal line sometimes? I don't know how often, but definitely a little bit, and possibly quite a bit, and so that could hurt the bottom line, the top line, throughout the season quite a bit. So that's the biggest concern for me. But, I mean, yeah, there is a chance here that Saquon has a huge year, and if CMC just has a slightly down year, we got Trent Williams missing some time possibly, things like that don't go in favor of this team quite coming together, especially season long. If that takes a few weeks or something like that, 6 weeks. Yeah, I do think that Saquon has that upside. That's why he's my running back 4 in my rankings. I think Breece Hall is more likely, but I definitely think so. All right, you guys want to get in one more draft here? Or here? All right, so Christian McCaffrey, Williams, Brooks, Corum, Chandler, Mason. Nice. Not a big fan of Chandler. To me, the reason why is just that I don't think that the Minnesota offense is going to be anything spectacular. In fact, I think it will be one of the more poor offenses in the league, and thus I don't, Chandler's obviously going to need injury ahead of him first, just like many other guys are getting in that area of the draft, but I'd just rather take chances on guys who I think like Jalen Wright, who I think are on better offenses if the opportunity does arise. So that's just me for that, but obviously everybody has different opinions and what they think of these. But that's how I think of these backup guys, how I end up ranking them a lot not completely ranking them exactly based on that, but based on, the backup based on the better offense, a little bit based on the likelihood of opportunity of them actually getting there. But I don't like to try to predict injuries too much because they just happen every year to a lot of guys in the league. Jalen Polk, Deontay Johnson, Smith, Evans, Collins, strong wide receiver group there. Polk, if it doesn't, I feel like if you're drafting Polk, you're kind of guaranteeing that you're going to end up dropping Polk at some point in the season because I don't think it's going to be a strong start there in New England, but down the stretch might be the time where all of a sudden Polk starts to turn things around. That offense starts to get his feet together. Drake May's now, been playing for a few weeks, but nonetheless, I mean, I have him ranked somewhere in this area. But there's I would rather have Downs. I don't know about Wicks for sure, but like Palmer. There's some other guys I'd rather have there too, but not too big of a deal. And like I said earlier too, you got Jonathan Brooks, Hawkinson. You can put both on IR. So if you have an IR spot or two. If you don't have like IR spots, so those are guys who you might want to start to be careful about drafting, or only draft one of them. Just a reminder on that, because otherwise you're just taking up more flexibility off of your roster. Crabcats, Hill, Ayuk, Odunze, Watson, Palmer, Dotson. So you took that shot on Dotson. I asked that question. Curious if anybody knows what they think about Dotson. Hill, Ayuk, Odunze, Watson. Well, it's only 2 wide receivers, so I think you can get away with this. It's a little thin for my likings, waiting all the way up until Odunze to get the second. But by doing that, you get yourself McBride, Richardson, which is obviously going to be a nice, strong tight end quarterback combo that's going to give you a bit of an advantage against a lot of teams. The combination of those two. Achan, obviously high upside. Zach Moss. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in Zach Moss. Really, really thin there, Crabcats at running back. Far too thin. You got. You don't have a starter for bye weeks or anything yet. So obviously, your roster's still going to be in-season worked on, but pretty much no roster makes it through the season without waiver wire additions throughout the season. So that's fine. And then the role, loving his team. London, Metcalf, Neighbors, understand why you love it. Nice, strong start there. Judy Leggett, couple of shots late. And it's 2 wide receivers, so you really only need the 3. Hopefully, you can get by with them. But let's see. Because of this, you are a little bit concerning at the flex spot, but Tyjae Spears, with just a little bit of good luck, not even a whole lot of good luck, could be a perfectly fine flex if need be, if Neighbors, doesn't. If something happens to one of your wide receivers. I should have mentioned that. Kittle, I don't like the 3 wide receiver thing. I will say for Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews missed practice again today after the accident last week. He missed a practice then, 2 practices since then, missed both of them. Reports are that he was perfectly fine, or not perfectly fine. Reports are that he suffered no serious injury, but you never know how things work. A couple days after the accident, he could have been experiencing some sort of soreness that they're being cautious with. So hopefully they're just being extra cautious, but if you have your draft in the next couple of days, definitely worth taking a flyer on Isaiah Likely late in drafts, especially in case there is something going on there. Maybe Mark Andrews misses some time. Yeah, he had a bad back the last season or 2. Like, a car accident can definitely mess with your back. I don't know how bad the accident was, but there's enough reason to be skeptical late in your draft with one of those final spots, if he's still available, to go ahead and take him. You can always drop him. All right. Let's get the link out there. See who wants to join on. And once again, as a reminder, guys, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between, if you want specific settings within reason, as in 10-team, 12-team, full PPR, standard, let me know. We can get those 3 wide receiver, 2 wide receiver, and we can get those. I did drop in chat a link to do one more mock if you wish. As a reminder, too, if you're mocked out for today, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here Friday. I'll be here Saturday. Keep an eye out for me on Saturday. Hours are not as determined for Saturday yet. 12 standard? Sure, as long as nobody else. Just because you're here every day, you get screwed a little bit. As long as somebody doesn't pop up and say, request something different, sure thing. What you get for being a regular. You toss aside like you don't even matter, even though you matter. All right, I give it a little bit. Otherwise, we'll just do, if it's just us 2 the roll, we'll just do a minute. I swear, Matt, if we could just get people that are every other dayers and everything, I could just get everybody in there at once. We would have a full freaking room. But it never happens. Not at once. Alright, I'm gonna choose a spot here. Might move this up to 1 minute. Little update on the poll here so far. It's like the majority of people believe that Dalvin Cook will have the biggest impact for the Dallas Cowboys out of any of the today signings after teams cut players. Samaje Perine receiving the second biggest vote, 33%. Dalvin Cook was 44%, and Tim Patrick just receiving 22% of the vote. So a little bit of a change up there since the last time that we reviewed that. I had a quarterback tandem of Stroud, Kyler, and Love last year. Yeah. But you didn't need all... I mean, you would have been fine with Stroud and Love, or Stroud and Kyler, or Kyler and Love. I'm not saying it can't work. Anything can work, almost. But it's just not necessary. It's not normal. It's not what, I'm not saying this because I think that you have to be normal. I'm just saying it's not, what the most people think is sound strategy or anything like that, the recommendation. But once again, it doesn't really matter. If it's what you want to do, then just do it. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I like it as a strategy. What up, Edward? You just missed it? We just had a few other people, but if you want to get in on here, we got another mock draft going. A couple people come in with some questions. I was just saying to the roll, like, if we could just get everybody in here at once, we'd have a full table. But instead, we've always got, like, 3 or 4 people in, different people, like, every mock draft. Can't quite get. One of these days, we'll have all humans in here. That'll be great. But it's nice that at least, like, everybody's able to get involved, and it's not a scramble to just, like those huge channels where it's tough to even get in. You can't choose. Who do you want to be? I'm going to start taking your spot. Oh, darn it. Get mellow. Is there any way I could randomize your spot? Yeah, there is a way. So, what I'll do... I'm going to roll a 12-sided die. And anything 1 through 11. That's what we'll do. Let me just... There's dice rollers online. There's one on Google. It just has... There we go. Okay, this is not your roll. It was an 11. What did it come up as? 5? 5. I know it was there for a while. So, okay, there you go. Choose from pick 5. You know what? I'm going to go pick 1. Randomly. That's right. Are you, your league's determining on Saturday? Alright, we'll give about 5-10 seconds here in case anybody else stomps on through to get included. Oh, cool. Nice. Exciting. Did you end up liking your roster? Loving it? Concerned about it? I feel like you're always going to like your roster. Like you picked players that you like for the most part when you draft. So you're always going to like your roster. But sometimes like, oh, maybe there's some concerns with this roster. Like last year I had a roster where I didn't know if I was going to have a running back 2 to start the season. And then, what's his nuts? In New England, I keep thinking of the other guy I'm about to talk about. Ramondre Stevenson was my 1, and then that was really disappointing. But, on the other hand, I got Raheem Mostert, and, I guess I knew I had a running back 2, but, there was a lot... People weren't too jacked about Raheem Mostert last season. I was more jacked, but it's not like I had him ranked in my top 20 running backs. So luckily, nobody in my team drafted him, so I got him really, really late, and then he ended up being obviously my RB1. It's just how the league is these days. Is there's not a whole lot of this is the guy. There's a lot of situations where there's 2 guys and there's always sharing. So there's very few absolute studs at running back these days. And then there's a lot of parity from the next, the next tier, and trying to figure out exactly which ones it's going to be. It's really tough. And then there's always, it seems every year too, there's several guys that are like this year. I mean, I'm sure Jerome Ford through the first 6, 7, 8 weeks, like people are gonna be like, yeah, look at, I got him with, the 14th round of my draft, such a steal. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I knew it was gonna be a steal for you. I still didn't draft him a lot of the time, but like, yeah, he's gonna perform pretty well for exactly, especially for where you're getting him in drafts. All right. I think we've given enough time for anybody to get involved. Did you request 10 team on this? No, 12 team standard. Edward, 12 team standard, is that okay? Or do you need... I mean, it's not going to change, I don't think, how the computer drafts too much from standard. I'm sure there's a few things, so hope that's okay. And I think Juju's the backup to Rashee Rice. They drafted Rashee Rice to fill that Juju role / to fill the Travis Kelce role ultimately once he's gone, the zone beater in that offense. So not unless there's an injury, I don't think. But I mean, he's going to be better than taking Sky Moore off the waiver wires if there's an injury. Not necessarily the role. Like I said, I mean, just email me everything if you want, but if you got somebody else or something, don't feel bad about just saying, oh, okay, it's yours. All right, I think we're going to start it in 5, 4. Well, I'm first on the clock, so we'll just start it. I'm on the clock. We got 1 minute. Oh, that's right. Okay, we're going to be under the gun here. So I went with 1 minute because I was thinking it was just, well, I can move it up to 1.5 minutes. Give you a little time to think. There we go. Shucks, you know what? We got a crew. All right. 2 minutes. We're back to normal. So, the question is do I want Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs? Most likely Josh Jacobs, Isaiah, James Cook. And CD. Or... Okay, I like... Well, we'll see if he makes it there. Shoot. Nah, I think I feel a little more comfortable with CD. Team 3 almost made it to Yamelo. Christian McCaffrey, how crazy would that have been? So, Ed, as a Falcons fan, what do you think about the whole quarterback situation that your team has gotten themselves into? Definitely been playing it interestingly. Are you not? You can't put links in chat? Is that how that works? Hold up. How does that work with people paying? Does ESPN have something that people can, that like forces somebody to pay to join the league, or how does that work? All right, there we go. Mello with Kyron. Couple of running back duels here. Which leaves me with Achan. Just the probable pick? I think I will go running back myself with Achan and James Cook. Around that turn. All right, so there's a link to a IDP fan. How many spots are you looking to fill still in the role? $10 IDP Dynasty League that the role has. That's one thing I haven't gotten from when. Let everybody know when the draft is. That's something I was curious on. I've assumed would be in the email. Okay, nobody knows what Mountain Time is. Especially if they never know which time of the year Mountain Time is. Because you only change it. Mountain Time never changes, right? Is that currently 3 hours different? Is it 6 p.m. right now? 6:03 compared to the east? Okay, it's 2 hours. Who's the CI? Oh, you're asking to roll. I've been wondering too, because I don't know. I feel like I have an idea of the Rolls team, and I feel like it's not Seattle. How do I feel about Kincaid compared to the other elite tight ends? Jose. I think for value, I think he's the best value that there is for the tight end spot. I think he could very easily be the number one tight end, within fractions of a point of being the number one tight end, along with any number of those top five tight ends this year. So I think he's the best value to me for sure, and I think the floor is very high. The ceiling's the only question mark. I will be right back. I got a cat looking to come in. So yeah, anyways, I'm a big fan of him. I do have him ranked 5th out of the top 5 there, tight ends. So actually right now would be a decent spot for me to take Dalton Kincaid, I feel like. Who would it be? Dalton and Michael Pittman, or yeah, I think so. Good timing. There we go. CeeDee Lamb, Pittman, Achane, Cook, Kincaid. I like that. Yeah, that's right. You're a Chargers fan. See, I thought I knew what team. I forgot because you haven't talked about it, and you don't like draft them like crazy. You excited for your season? Yeah, you gotta be after what the Chargers have been like in recent years. But you had a little bit of a scare there with Justin Herbert, but it looks like everything's fine, so gotta be excited about that, I assume. I am curious what's going on with Ladd there. Is he going to get enough targets? Or are we going to have to wait for half the season for that to happen? That was my big concern with him at, well, throughout his career. And then you saw it too at the, in college. And then you saw it at the, not the East West Shrine Bowl, but at the practices for draft hopefuls last offseason, was that Ladd would like get open, but he didn't get targeted a whole lot. So that's the one issue with him. He just doesn't always seem to get targeted by his quarterbacks a lot, which would be pretty important. But I think he has Chris Olave kind of upside. I hope that comes through. Awesome, Zamir White makes it. I really like this team. Can I have this team? Yeah, and Rashee Rice. I would like to see how this team ends up doing this year. I think this would be a fun team. So far. Drafting from the 2 spot in a family league. Nice, that's always fun, Jose. If Marvin is there, should I draft him or pick up an elite running back? Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 1-2 or at the 2-2? 211, whatever. Okay. If Marvin Harrison's there, yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. So you're saying if you go CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill, should you go running back or Chris Olave? I mean, I think you can still get a Josh Jacobs, a James Cook here just around that early 3rd turn, which I think is going to be a fine, running back 1. And might not light the world on fire, but some weeks they might. So I think they'll be fine running back 1s, and then I think it's easy enough to find running back 2s this year later on. Zamir White, I think, will be a running back 2. Like, you can find them. I mean, Mostert's late, and something else. James Connors late. Even without that, if you like other guys, Joe Mixon or something. 216. Is doing a 14-team league then, or something? Probably 14-team league. Yeah, I was just kind of naming the names of these guys are there. I'm with you. I don't know that Stevenson's in some great situation either. I'm a big fan of Zamir White. Yes, I think he's gonna have a really good floor. Get a lot of usage. I think that defense is gonna keep them in games, and I think that the offense is going to want to run, just like they did under Pierce a lot. And Zamir White's going to get a lot of that. So it's just the touchdown upside, He could be on the lower end of starting running back touchdowns. But I think the yardage and everything will be very consistent week in and week out. And he'll get like 20 touches a lot of weeks, which is a good amount of work for any running back. Ford, I mean, I'm just happy to get him where he kind of goes. I don't want to reach too much for Ford. I'm not like a huge believer in him. He kind of wore down as the year went on, but he should be fresh coming into this year. So, I don't know. Deshaun Watson, I'm concerned about that offense a little bit. Would have liked to see like a good off season for Deshaun Watson, and instead he's kind of sore. It's true. Well, their offensive line's had a couple of injuries. I don't know if I would call them great. I feel like they're pretty good. But yeah, I mean, they always have a good running game. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Is there's a lot of running backs late that you can get, like afford to even later. Warren, Brooks, that are on board later. You know, you can get pretty late. You could get Ford and Nick Chubb if you think Nick Chubb will be something once he gets back. Yeah, I don't mind going wide receiver to start to kick things off. Ultimately, I think you can find those running backs. Let's see here. We're at the 8 turn. Jaden Daniels definitely going to get taken. And B-Rob or definitely not Hollywood since I already got Rashee Rice. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of in this tier already, so not at a rush to get into that. Yeah, none of these guys like stand out to me as must-haves. So when that happens, grab me a running back. We'll get B-Rob on there. I appreciate you stopping in, Jose. When's that? When did you say your draft is? Jose, are you looking to get in on to do another draft here? I can quicken the timer here for us now that we're in this final round. Get things moving along. Get one more draft in here before we head out. If you want to get some practice in. You know, I don't really think he's overrated. I just don't love him. Which is weird because I liked him. I thought he was. I was surprised he didn't get drafted or that he got drafted so late. Did he end up being a 7th rounder? I was surprised that he got drafted so late. I thought he had a lot of talent. I was somebody who was a bit of a believer in Pacheco. I mean, look, he gets all the opportunity. He's one of the few. He's on the higher end of opportunity in terms of the share of the workload that he gets now. And he's able to be highly efficient because people aren't worried about the run against Kansas City. So like, he's not going to get 20 touches in a game. It's more like 15. But whereas the box might be loaded against Amir White because teams are not afraid of the pass in Las Vegas, it's the exact opposite for Pacheco, where the box is loose. People are worried about, Patrick Mahomes and that passing attack. I think they'll be worried about again this year. Last year they were able to tighten things up against him a little bit as things didn't work out for those that wide receiver room, and just in general they were out of sorts until they hit the playoffs, of course. But he's a really good running back. He's proven that, I think, at this point. He's been great in fantasy. He's going to be highly efficient because things are going to be open for him in front of him. He doesn't have the highest upside in the world, but he's in this group of guys. I mean, I think he does belong here once you get to Kyren Williams, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco. To me, I have Pacheco ahead of Derrick Henry. ETN and him, I think, are roughly the same, and I think you can make arguments for Pacheco over ETN. ETN's less consistent than Pacheco. So I think there's a lot of good about Pacheco. He's just not necessarily a guy that I always target or I feel great taking, so I'm kind of with you on that. But those are the arguments for him. We'll go. What's the wide receiver room here look like? Yeah. Maybe we'll patch that up with Romeo Doubs and Khalil Shakir. Head out to the gym. Attaboy. Get those gains. I just started working out for the first time in a long time because I was just like I've always been a bit of a noodle, but I've always been like at least somewhat wiry of a noodle. But I've just been, on the computer putting out videos and stuff for the past 2 years nonstop. But I hadn't been in the gym for a while, and man, it's been nice to get back in the gym. I've been going 4 days a week. Like, all right, starting to feel some gains a little bit. Like, it ain't much, but it's something. And the cardio is always good. Good for the heart. Sleeper of the year? I mean, I feel like if if somebody were to vote for my sleeper of the year and they watched all my content, they would say, who is Steve's sleeper of the year? I think they would probably vote for Zamir White. I think Rashee Rice has a higher ceiling, though, for where you can get him in drafts a little bit later. So I think Rashee Rice is in that conversation for one of the bigger sleepers. I'm trying to think of... I mean, those are like the norm, like kind of sleepers, you know. Once you get into... What's the last guy? Yeah, I feel like Rashee Rice is... I mean, Brown, actually, Hollywood Brown. I think more of him. I think... If it wasn't for the injuries and everything, I would be talking about him more. But he's going to start the season not healthy. That's given Xavier Worthy, who we've seen, you know, has a pretty decent connection with Patrick Mahomes early on. Yeah, so wide receiver, I think Rashee Rice probably my guy in terms of the last one where I think he has a legitimate shot to really give you that, like, back-end wide receiver 1 type of upside. And Zamir White, the running back is tough because they're so late. Some of them. Chase Brown is the other. I think maybe my bigger sleeper just because he gets taken even quite a bit later, and people have kind of gotten on board with Zamir White. What are we doing here? Achan, we need one more. Sure, we'll just do Marshawn Lloyd, and I feel good about this roster, so I'm going to go ahead and get my DST off the board. 10-man PPR and prep for my draft this week. I think we can. Why not? Rashee Rice, I mean, I just think he's pretty much a stud. I think as we saw last year, as Travis Kelce starts to get older, get more banged up as the season goes along, that just opens up all the more for Rashee Rice. He gets a lot of targets. I really like a floor. I prefer a consistent guy. A lot of targets helps for people to be consistent. So I like that. I mean, he was really good last year, yeah, as a rookie, and I feel like you can get him really late. He 100% would not be going this late in drafts if it hadn't been for his off-season issues. People were expecting there to be some sort of suspension, and so his draft stock fell, and it just kind of snuck up on us that, hey, there's it looks like he's going to make it without any kind of suspension, but there just hasn't been any kind of swell to really push up his draft stock. It's gone up a little ways, but it hasn't like shot up as high as it would be if people just liked him all off-season. People liked him all off-season. Well, I'll show you where I have him ranked, because I think that would be roughly around where it would end up being, because I've just kind of been higher up on him. To me, I like to wait until those things play themselves out before I knock a guy for it, too much at least. So I had Rashee Rice a little bit lower, but yeah, right in this grouping. I mean, I think I still have like I would probably have him like 26th if there had been no concerns. You know, maybe. I don't know, though. This is one of those things where Amari Cooper is just always so underappreciated, but when you look at all the numbers and everything, he deserves to be ranked up here. So, but in this tier, you know, in the same tier as like Michael Pittman. I feel like, what do I need on this roster? Do I want the floor of Bo Nix or the ceiling of Will Levis, guys? We'll go for the ceiling. I waited just a little too long there on my... Should have been a quarterback here instead of the New York Jets. Darnell Mooney's, I think, somebody who could surprise as a sleeper kind of option. Demario Douglas, I really think for where he's going, like sleeper kind of option. Michael Wilson could be a solid guy. I wouldn't quite say sleeper. Looking to see. I feel like there's a couple names that are really low. We'll take Kamani on this roster. Why not? I hope Kamani gets a chance this year. I feel like it's a tricky situation just because of all the wide receivers. Yeah, for full PPR. Best draft spot this year, 10-man best draft spot. Still think it's somewhere up in here. Edward, did you leave us? Did you just miss out on your draft? Top 3 quarterback rankings. Yeah, I mean, I might be might have screwed up on my quarterback rankings in terms of Mahomes, but for me, I want to take the shot on the running quarterbacks. They're the ones who finish, number 1, number 2, number 3 overall most years. Patrick Mahomes is the only one of like true throwing wide receivers. I mean, I know he's got some wheels, he can get himself out of trouble, but he's not really a true dual threat quarterback. But with next year, I think is the year where I will be once again thinking that he has a really good shot of reclaiming like fantasy number 1. But you got to throw for a lot to overcome guys who rush for a lot of yards. So I have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts as my top 3. The rushing yards are just so much more valuable. If this is 4 point per passing touchdown. If you're in a 6 point per passing touchdown, that's a different story. Patrick Mahomes, I think, probably maybe number 2, but probably be number 1 in that case. Just because, I mean, I have a hard time thinking that wide receiver room's not going to come together this year. Could be. Heck, it has a chance by the end of the year to be like his best wide receiver room. We'll end this off with a kicker here. Danny Carlson, my boy. All right. Good job, everybody. This is a roster I really wish I could export out of here and run through the season. All right, we'll get in a 10 team full PPR here for Ed. But it's good. It gets you familiar with some of like guys who are going to be rocking the bench and everything. Familiar with some of those names that were liked. Okay, so full PPR 10 team. We'll go 1.5 minute timer here. Is that good? Position-wise, you good? 2 wide receiver, 2 running back. Ed, let me know quick, and we'll get this going. I should probably provide you guys with a link. So, if you want to get in on here, this one should fly a little bit quicker. And there is the link. Sounds great. Awesome. I'll wait till you get in. If you want me to do another random roll for you, I can. Jose, the only reason I bring up Mahomes is because Bill Belichick in an interview said that he believes that Kansas City will be more of an offensive team this year because they lost. Yeah, so exactly. I don't know that if that defense plays like it did last year, their offense won't have to be as good as it possibly could be. These things work hand in hand. Especially in the early parts of the offseason where I really take these into factor when I'm doing my original rankings. Like, a bad defense helps the offense because now the offense has to helps the passing offense of the other team. They're going to have to keep up with their defense most likely a lot of weeks. These things all help play with each other. A really good defense helps the running game on the other side of the ball, and it helps the kickers on the other side of the ball a little bit. Still, very hard to predict that. But all right, dice roll. That was a 12-sided die, so let's. It was 6, but you're actually going to be 3. And I'm going to draft from 7 here. And did I go, and it was full PPR you wanted, right? Yeah. All right, hopefully you get somebody else in here to help you out for this practice. But I think we might have lost the roll. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's, Bill knows. I want to say it. How I was about to say it, I feel like would have sounded demeaning towards Bill Belichick in a way. I was going to say, I think that's some good insight from Bill Belichick there. Like, he isn't one of the best minds of football in the last 2 decades. Yeah, I mean, when Bill talks, I think you can listen, especially when it comes to defenses and stuff. So he thinks that defense is going to take a step back. I gotta say I do too, probably. But I also really like how they've drafted. I thought they've gotten some nice depth. So I don't know how far back. And that is going to probably impact a little bit of, is Patrick Mahomes going to have to pass and score so much that he can overcome those rushing quarterbacks or not? Tough to say. All right. Can I claim 2? Darn it. I wish I could just pick from a couple more just to help. Hey, appreciate it, Jose. I hope to see you around. Like I said, I'll be live a lot throughout the season, and I'll have rankings videos, and the rankings are up on the website. And I'll be here tomorrow night, the night after, and Saturday during the day and afternoon, or something. I'll figure that out. But and Saturday. All right, let's get going here, Edward. Get a little practice in. So I'll give you a little. So for me, CeeDee Lamb, McCaffrey go off of the board. I like Jamar Chase, but it doesn't matter. Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, good choice. Good choice. Ooh. So, talking about for my 7 spot here, since you don't know where you're going to be drafting from, here I'm going to go with Amon-Ra since he comes here. I really like Breece Hall, and I kind of like getting a running back here because of how you can get wide receivers late. However, there's more of a likelihood of a running back that I like making it to me here around the turn with JT, maybe a Gibbs, Saquon falling. Then we get into this, murky wide receiver area, or I'm just taking Chris Olave, which Breece Hall, Chris Olave I'd be fine with. But Amon-Ra, JT, Saquon also sounds very, very great. And a little bit more trustworthy, Olave is kind of one of my guys. Confidence level in that's only so high. But of course, all the running backs go. And so, what's the backup plan here? I think the backup plan is wide receiver, which is fine too. So we still go Olave here anyways. And for you, it might be somebody else. But that was, I think, worth the risk of trying to get one of those running backs around there. Breece, Bijan, and Tyreek last year. Yeah, ain't that sexy. Never going to happen again. That's something, though. Still, even last year. Because, I had Tyreek as my number 1. And I think a lot of people... I think by the end of the year, he was supposed to be first off the board. Breece, you could get at a value. Bijan, though. I'm surprised you're able to get Bijan and Tyreek on the same team last year. From what I recall. Maybe I'm... No. But Bijan did fall a little bit towards the end, right? If you were drafting late. Alright, so you go Tyreek Hill, Kyren Williams. I think Mike Evans is one of those guys that you took him earlier, I think, too, in this kind of situation that you can't doubt too highly. I do think in a 10-team league, getting yourself that edge at quarterback and tight ends is just a little bit more important than 12-team because you're just going to be coming up against better quarterbacks and tight ends more often in a 10-team league. So this is the type of situation where, I'm still not taking Josh Allen or Sam Laporta, but, I'm less argumentative against it. Achane sexy there. Well, I don't know about it. He's fine. Josh Jacobs fine. Yeah. Looked like the board was saying running back, but how does that work down here? Probably still makes sense. Yeah, board's still saying running back here. I think I have Pacheco. Do I have Pacheco over Josh Jacobs? How do my rankings look? I feel like I probably do. I have Josh Jacobs really high, but... Oh, I do have him that high. Okay. I'm so used to seeing when he's... Because he's like... People have him like 16th or something like that. ADP. For running back. Does that sound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Well, okay. Maybe not quite. That low. Either way. Yeah. I got Jacobs up ahead of Isaiah. Oh, that's right. I pushed Kyren Williams back a little ways. Probably end up regretting that. We'll see, though. A lot of bad news surrounding Kyren Williams, by the way. You might want to look into that a little more. I think people are overreacting a little bit to the news, but I don't, where there's smoke, you never know. Wide receivers. Really good group of wide receivers here. So I almost feel like, because of the wide receivers you're seeing here, if you want to go quarterback or tight end, this is probably the spot to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I mean, actually, if you like C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson, I guess right here is probably the spot. But if not, and then you can get tight. So if you want to go tight end, quarterback early on in the draft, you could go quarterback 3, tight end 5. You get 2 wide receivers to start off with and a running back in here, or 2 wide receivers and a running back here. I'm just kind of gaming out. I'm just kind of talking out loud more than anything there, but if you're able to follow along with that, I might give you some ideas from this spot. I think people are just concerned about his usage. I mean, ultimately, depending on your league settings, being a punt returner could get you more fantasy points if they return it for a touchdown. I don't know how much these teams are going to be actually. I think they're going to be kicking up through the end zone a lot in the regular season. But people are concerned because usually you don't put your star players as your punt or kick returner because there's a higher chance of injury for those guys on special teams. So you like to keep your studs on special teams. So if they were afraid of having to start Blake, they definitely wouldn't have him as the punt returner, you don't think. So I don't think they're afraid of starting Blake Corum. So the question is, if you're not afraid of starting him, then how much use is he going to get? And what's going to be the cost of that to Kyren Williams? So when you're taking Kyren Williams as like, top 6, 7, whatever running back, now if he's in some sort of like complete timeshare there, he's not going to finish that high because he's a volume back. So that's what people are concerned about. And I don't know if I have him. I don't want to panic too highly because I've always thought that there's going to be some sort of split usage, but I thought he'd get the majority of it until we heard otherwise, and we've kind of started to hear otherwise. I'm with you. I think I want to get in on this tight end here, but maybe not. Running back? We got our wide receivers. Okay. Oh, I was going to go running back. Hold up. I mean, I was going to go Dalton Kincaid. Hold up. Change this to, sure. All right. Is this who you would have taken there, computer? Probably not. Probably would have taken Pittman. All right. Woo. Okay, from this 7 spot, look at that. If that's how that draft falls right there. Pretty nice, although, Anthony Richardson, a little bit of risk with that. Yeah, like this team right here, the Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley kind of. I feel like getting in right around here if you want to go with the running back start, it's pretty nice. And I think that I don't know, it's tough. You can't rely on Breece Hall, so I think the best way is like this pick 8 gives you most likely to be like Jonathan Taylor or Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley. No guarantee, though. So when you can actually attack it with some sort of confidence is once you're with picks 9 and 10. But Yeah. What? What, kitty cat? Okay. Um, do I play the ADP game? No. I'm gonna go Zamir White there. Oh, shucks. I hate it when guys fall that I don't necessarily love, but also kind of have them ranked, like, highly enough. Might not. Oh, look at that. Rashid Rice got popped up. Oh, you took him. Shucks. Alright, well, he's probably my RB3 at least. Maybe not. Maybe we want to take one of those wide receivers. Kyler. Hey, you followed nicely there. Hey, Milwaukee Brewers beating San Fran. 5th inning, 5 up. Let's go, baby. I can't believe how good the Brewers are doing this year. They've had so many injuries to, like, good players. Good players by their roster's sake. Here's the other thing about 10 team, man. You can get some of these tight ends so late. Get Eckler. This is full PPR, huh? Dude, for full PPR, this is one heck of a start. Amon-Ra and Chris Olave, I think both of them could be some of the more targeted players in the league. I mean, Amon-Ra could be the #1 targeted player. That's possible. I think in this offense this season, Olave, if this offense can find any kind of like consistency to where they can actually get the drives going often enough, could be a top 5. CD Lamb's the other guy that would be in competition there with Amon-Ra for 1. That's just because he was just getting overdrafted, I think, last year a little bit. He wasn't that bad, but it just probably felt bad because you wanted more from him and he wasn't giving it to you. He's like 24th? And he had that stretch where he probably had 0 upside because they couldn't punch it into the end zone. Man, what are we doing? All right, Jaylen Warren. I wanted to go wide receiver here. I don't know why I didn't. Yeah, it's a new offensive scheme there in New Orleans. I'm banking on that quite a bit. And I'm hoping and banking the veteran Derek Carr can get over a very crappy offensive line. I don't know for sure that he can. But even if, the ball is going to be thrown Olave's way a lot this year. It's just a matter of what's the actual ceiling. But I tell you, my projections loved him. My projections are like, I don't do touchdowns in my projections, so they're just kind of the floor. A generous floor is what I like to call them. And they were very, very happy with Chris Olave. I think he came out, originally he came out to 1st in my projections. After a couple of adjustments and whatnot, he was like 3rd. I have him right there. Devontae Williams is a guy who could definitely outdo where he's getting drafted. It's a nice late pick there. If I were you, I'd be going Brian Thomas or a running back. Probably a running back. I think you're still going to get a wide receiver around the turn here. It's close, though. So close. One taken. So, yeah, you still got Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, Cortland Sutton, Romeo Doubs. If you take a Mark Andrews right now, you might want to take Likely at the end of the draft, too. You might want to plan on that. Well, stupid Brian Robinson sitting here, but I got Eckler already, so can't do that. Well, could. I don't like to do that. I guess. What do I want? I want receptions. That's Cortland Sutton. That's not Jameson Williams. Oh, all the more reason I screwed up. This should be Deontay Johnson here, and then a running back here. Deontay Johnson for full PPR, I think. I want over Addison. Yeah, like right behind Reed there, over Addison. I don't know about Ridley, but 3 more picks. I've got a DST. I've got a quarterback. Well, I do have a quarterback who's a little injury prone, so we'll just take 2 quarterbacks who might have some injury concerns. Hopefully between the 2 of them, one will be healthy every week. Oh, and I miss out on Chase Brown because of that. Oh, well. Okay, so I got Jacobs, Zamir White, Eckler, Warren. Antonio Gibson could be a nice late PPR kind of guy. Khalil Shakir could be a nice PPR guy. And then I think we can just wait. Is double running? What are you thinking? Are you thinking of Achane, right? Are you thinking if you had taken, or am I missing something else here? Or are you talking about no, like doing the both of them? No, I don't mind that. Because now, for the most part, 16 games out of the year, you should have your RB1 and RB2. So especially if you're not planning on if you're planning on going wide receiver, which this is a roster where you could kind of plan on that, with your flex spot, like you could almost plan on doing that and just go like 5 running backs instead of 6. And then you just grab yourself, an extra quarterback or something like that. Higher end even maybe if you wanted, like right here. Get yourself Brock Purdy to back up Kyler Murray. So now you're really set between the 2, something like that. Whatever the case. Or you can go 6 running back. But either way, I don't mind it one bit. Because the odds of both of them going down quite a bit lower. I'm trying to make the computer force me to draft Antonio Gibson. Okay, there we go. It took J.K. Dobbins. Thank you. See, this is insane. Chuba Hubbard is going to be the starting running back for a team. I mean, I guess I'll just take him so another team can't get him. He's going to be a starting running back for 4 or 5 weeks. Well, 4 weeks, and then he's going to still have, like, I should say at a minimum 4 weeks, and then he'll still have a role for a couple more weeks before ultimately he probably gives over his... Houston's going to score touchdowns, I feel like. I don't think... I see Buffalo struggling a little bit early season. Still, though, I'm going to go with my boy. Danny C. Mr. Carlson himself. Alright, so you got Hill, Chan again. Hill, Cup, Amari, Rice, Watson. I really like that room. You got Williams, Chan, and you got Corum. I think very important if you're taking Williams these days. Corum, important to get him as the backup. In fact, specifically, if you were to find yourself in this situation on draft night, and you, I actually probably would advise looking for these running backs here just in case it's a headache between Corum and Williams, and like you got to wait till one of them gets injured before you really trust one on a week in and week out basis, or it's like it's not until week 9 where like Blake Corum kind of takes over and Kyren Williams has been ineffective for long enough that now you feel comfortable playing Blake Corum. So in this situation, actually, specifically Kyren Williams, I do like taking a couple shots here at taking guys who maybe you'll start over those Los Angeles Rams running backs come week 2 after a disappointing week 1 until, otherwise. But Kyren Williams has been all offseason like the guy who, if I draft him, I am for sure getting that backup in Blake Corum. The other one that I really, really, really want, any of the Miami running backs, I want Jalen Wright as a high cuff. He's one of the higher handcuffs. And James Conner. I really like to handcuff him later on. Where are you? With the rookie, Trey Benson. There you are. Who's come on late in the offseason. Those are like the most, I feel like, sure areas. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill's sitting on the waiver wire, so there's an injury there. He's going to be up there. Fairborn and QR might kicker targets in every draft. Yeah, that's fine. I just feel like Fairborn's probably going to be more so kicking extra points, but it still gets you a nice floor. All right, we'll end the poll here as we come to the end of the stream. Dalvin Cook getting 50% of the vote from 10 votes there. So 5 people thinking Dalvin Cook, 3 people thinking Samaje Perine, and 2 people thinking Tim Patrick. I did not vote. I wasn't sure which way I would go. I felt like I probably would have gone Dalvin Cook, Tim Patrick, Samaje Perine. However, Tim Patrick being like the higher floor guy in terms of impact on the new team, Samaje Perine being the higher upside guy, whereas in like, come playoff game number 1, all of a sudden Samaje Perine, who hasn't done much all season, gets 5 catches for 38 yards to 2 touchdowns and a couple of runs for whatever. I have too much fun making up fantasy situations for those types of things. So is that good practice, Ed? Obviously we can do it again tomorrow night, and hopefully if you get here at like 8:00, then maybe we can get a nice group of 4 or 5, maybe 6 people if we're really, really lucky. We haven't hit that yet. We came close to it tonight. Between the 2 drafts, we had like 6 or 7. All right. I'm ready to end it, but let me know. You got any other questions? Happy to answer. Otherwise, hopefully see you tomorrow or see you soon. And if not, as always, good luck with your draft, Ed. Look forward to another season with you. You got 10 seconds. All right. Awesome, my man. It's nice seeing you as always. Have a wonderful night, as well as you, crazy viewer who somehow makes it to this part of the video. Have a good one. Appreciate it, Ed. You too, man. Peace out. End it.